But yeah. So we're avoiding Death Stranding again. Back on Death Stranding. Death Stranding, the Kojima Productions game. Um, yeah. Tom, what do you think of it? Like, what was your initial impression?
So my initial impression, and this is going to sound like an indictment or like I'm reaming the game, and I promise I'm not. I have a point to what I'm about to say.
Uh-huh.
Playing Death Stranding feels a whole lot like playing I Am Bread or QWOP. It feels very similar in certain ways. Where in those games, movement is the mechanic. Because usually in a video game, you hold the stick and you move, and that's it. There's no mechanical finesse about it. You just hold it and you move.
Mm-hmm.
In Death Stranding, it feels like moving effectively and efficiently, getting your person from point A to point B is the name of the game. And every single element of gameplay leans hard into that. Everything from the stamina systems to a fully realized waiting loadout physics system. Everything is designed to further complicate the equation of how do I physically walk from this location to this location.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting to me. It's I want to say it's the first game since Mario 64 that has actually made me think about movement in that critical of a capacity. Like Mario 64 is all about how do I take this fat little plumber and get him to get here. And Death Stranding is, fuck, a hill and the ground is slippery. Shit.
And you got, 100 pounds on your back?
Yeah. How do I get this absurd stack of boxes on my back up this mountain?
Yeah. Like, it sounds really frustrating, and in some places
and it is. And I think it's supposed to be.
But yeah, it feels good to play. It feels fully realized, and it doesn't feel like QWOP feels complicated because that it wants to be complicated. Mm-hmm. Death Stranding feels complicated because, hey, you've got 100 pounds of shit on your back. Also, the terrain is fully realized, and you've got to treat the earth and the ground like the earth or the ground. If you've ever been hiking and not perfect conditions, you know exactly what goes into just trying to walk without falling over. Death Stranding is that, but in a video game.
Yeah, and I will say it's not as mechanically challenging or complicated as QWOP. Like,
no,
you can still just move the analog stick and walk, right? You just have to account for, if you have a lot of weight on your back or it's lopsided weight, and you go to turn your character, you're going to start to lose your balance, and you have to use the L2 and R2 buttons to kind of rebalance yourself center.
So it's kind of like grinding in Tony Hawk.
Yes and no. So it kind of is, but it's not that progressive left to right balance. It's more, you're leaning left, hold L2 for a couple seconds, now you're center.
Yeah.
What happens if you hold it for too long? Will you overcompensate and then fall?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Depends on how heavily you're leaning. And this all depends on your equipment. It depends on what terrain you're on. It depends on how much you have on you.
So just like a freight train is really hard to stop once it gets going, if you've got like 200 pounds of gear on your back and you get a running start, you're not going to turn on a dime. And if you try, you're going to face plant. You're also not going to stop on a dime. If you try, you're going to skid.
Yeah. If you just completely let go of the analog stick while going down a hill, your dude's going to stumble forward and he's going to, continue to move further until he can, get his momentum back down to nothing.
Yeah.
So terrain, getting across it is important.
Mm-hmm.
Going uphill. So like, let's say you have a big old like crag or something in front of you. Like you're getting ready to go up a nasty ass hill or mountain.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of weight. Do you need to redistribute the weight from how it was when you were on the plains to how you are when you're going uphill?
You can.
No, you can, but I've never had a problem with it. Honestly, I've been kind of lazy when it comes to loading the cargo on the body. There's an auto load button that basically optimizes that. So it'll make sure it's balanced and put what it can on like your limbs instead of everything on the back, so it's not too tall, that kind of stuff.
It feels
which
like
is a nice feature.
There's a lot of easy buttons to say, hey, look, if you're just trying to get through the fucking game, press this magic button to auto skip these dialogues or, automatically put this stuff on in the most optimized pattern. But if you want to min-max, if you want to say, okay, well, I know that there's a long stretch of hill that's not too steep, but I also want to make really good time, let's front load these packs, lean in hard, and then use the weight of the equipment to push myself along. Like, you can get really in depth with the mechanics if you want to. If you don't care, you don't have to. You press the easy magic loadout button and you're good.
So I like that. It makes the game more accessible where if you want to be hardcore about it, you can. Other people can be like on it if they want.
I still don't think it's particularly accessible. I mean, it's got mixed reviews for a good reason. Like, I like what it's going for, but I could completely see why this would not be somebody's game.
Yeah. It is.
So, like, the game is, overall, honestly, the game is a slog. And I know it's supposed to feel that way, but it absolutely is in every single aspect, not just the fact that you're literally walking across country. Like, all the systems you have to learn. There are a lot of systems and menus in this game. And they are very, very tedious to navigate at times.
So the menuing honestly feels more like Tarkov than anything else. There are menus on menus on menus on menus, and the result of the things you're choosing and changing, you probably won't realize the benefit or detriment of your choices until like 15 hours in. It just like right at the start of the game, they hit you with like all these menus, and then, oh, hey, look, you're unlocking stats for this thing. Well, what the fuck does my miscellaneous level mean on this panel? What does that do for me? Oh, you don't know? I don't know either. Cool. Thanks for the update, dude. There's also one funny bit that I did want to mention. In the beginning of the game, no less than, I am going to estimate this, no less than 47,000 times does the game say in big letters, a game by Hideo Kojima.
This guy doesn't have an ego at all.
No, not at all.
Like, it literally around every single cutscene, and then you get into the game, and then there's some stuff that happens, and then right afterwards, just like a game by Hideo. And you're like, okay, all right, we get it. I understand. You're proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen your name like 6 times already. You want a game by Hideo? Okay, all right, okay.
Did you guys see the BBC piece? They gave BBC gave them Kojima gave them access before, like when they were first starting out and when they were finishing. And man, that dude has his hands on everything about that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does.
Like to a detriment where like if it's going to go bad, it's probably going to go bad because of that.
It's got to be his passion project for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So the main, I guess my main gripe with the game is so far the menus and systems. It's just a lot to learn, and then to actually physically navigate all the menus and systems, I think is kind of annoying. But overall, I like the game. It's interesting, and I like that it's different. I like that there's this AAA game that is just completely unlike any other AAA game. Like it doesn't have all of the same.
It's doing indie stuff.
Yeah, kind of. It kind of is.
One thing that does not feel unique about Death Stranding at all is the fact that the story is just Kojima. That is it. Like if you imagine Kojima going completely off his rocker completely. Yes, I said completely twice. It's that much. Like rocker on the floor tipped over and the storybook fell out of his hands. That is Death Stranding. You will need like a vocab book just to get started with this thing. All right, well, there are chiral entities and crypto.
Yeah, there's a lot of jargon to learn. There's a lot of jargon to learn.
Timefall and a BT and then a BB and a bridge baby and then you ate the baby and like I don't. There's the game is so
a certain brand.
Weird.
It's a certain brand of weird, but I like that about it. That's one of the things I do like.
Unique.
Is it an incomprehensible amount of weird,
yes.
or is it a really pretty blend?
I don't know how deep the story goes, but it's very clear early on. It's pretty simple to understand the goal of the story. Like it's not completely incomprehensible or anything. It's not as crazy as what I've heard Kingdom Hearts is.
Kingdom Hearts is a fucking mess.
I can agree with that. Like your goal is relatively clear. Like the things you're supposed to be doing, it's relatively clear. But if you try to ask why at all, that's it. That's the only question. If you try to ask why to anything in that game, you're not going to get a satisfying answer, at least not in the very beginning. Well, why am I eating bugs?
It replenishes your blood. That's
yeah,
explained.
but why? Well, yeah,
Because
no.
you use
So
your blood as a weapon.
why am I eating bugs? Why am I not eating like a
Right,
fruit
yeah.
salad or something? Like,
Well, I mean,
and
yeah.
why are these bugs out here? What caused them? What is a time fall? Why is there a void out? Like this, all the questions of why the world is the way it is. It does feel very intentionally obfuscated because
Well,
at its core, it's a mystery game. Like that's the
if
plot.
yeah, I was gonna say if it's a thing of why,
A
I'm
lot
not
of
trying to
that,
say I don't take your word for meaning, but I don't think that's a valid argument until the game's complete because that could be part of the game of the discovery.
it's
Yeah, I'm
also
sure
like
it
there
is.
doesn't have to be a reason for every little thing. Like you can ask why are they bugs and not a fruit salad, but what does that matter? It doesn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things.
A lot of this, like
It's style, is all it is.
it almost felt overwhelming. Like the very start of the game was just, oh, that's fucking weird. And then, repeat for the first 5 hours of the game is you just saying, oh, that was fucking weird, every single cutscene. Like that's the only feeling I got from the story of Death Stranding so far is that was fucking weird.
It's delightfully weird. I like that. I like the style. I like the I don't know. Just that particular brand of weirdness.
I am afraid that it won't pay off. I am afraid that he's had these problems in the Metal Gear Solid franchise before where there's some big thing and it's a mystery and you get way too involved in it and then it turns out the guy was just made of feathers. Don't worry about it.
And there's a vampire for some reason. But
yeah, I really hope that there are payoffs to this story because Kojima has had those issues before.
I don't care that much about the story, honestly.
That's why I play Kojima games, though. That's why I hated Metal Gear Solid 5, which was technically and gameplay-wise the best Metal Gear Solid ever, but literally the weakest in story terms that the series has ever been, even compared to the NES games. And I stopped playing it because of that.
Mm-hmm. I guess I'm saying I enjoy it on the surface level of imagery and cinematics and stuff in that vein. Like I want to know how the story plays out and stuff. It's not that I'm not into the story, but I'm not dying for answers.
You're not emotionally invested in what the game's going to tell you. You're just there to experience it.
Correct.
See, I'm invested.
I get that. That's kind of how I was with like something like a No Man's Sky. It's like I don't give a fuck about what they try to do for a story. This game is something that I'm atmospheric, want to be in.
I like the story more than that.
Well, no, I get that's an extreme example.
Like I'm going forward in the game because I do want to see how the story goes. Like that's a big motivator. But I'm not trying to figure out the why of everything, as Tom was saying before. Like I'm just taking a lot of it at face value and just seeing where it goes.
All right.
Some of the metaphors, though, like especially, I just finished chapter 2 or chapter 3, something like that. But some of the metaphors and the reason for your mission feel
It's very heavy-handed.
Yeah, like
the dialogue. The dialogue overall is kind of weird. Like people repeat themselves, and maybe there's some Japanese to English translation stuff. I don't know.
So I'm about to pull old ass TV. So if you've ever seen MASH and they're very political, moral of the story messages were very heavy-handed. It's not like that kind of heavy-handed. It's like you wake up after somebody hits you in the face with a rubber mallet kind of heavy-handed. Like there's a lot of talk about we got to do this to rebuild America because we're so divided right now as a nation and everyone is isolated themselves into their own beliefs and power structures. And you're just like,
and then there's this thing that's basically the internet called the Chiral Network. And to connect to that internet, you have to wear these handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
The social media handcuffs. And everything you do gets likes from other players on the little social media thing. Like
you get paid in Facebook likes. That is your currency.
Yeah.
You get paid with likes.
I will say, though, I like the multiplayer social aspect of the game. I think that's one of the things that shines the most positively. Like, we're saying a lot of things about...
ask you about
We're saying a lot of things about the game that sounds like we don't like the game, and that's not the case.
I like the game.
I like
I
it
just
so
think
far.
it's really fucking weird. You got to know what you're getting
Yeah.
into with Death
Yeah.
Stranding, especially
Yeah.
because it's a $60 AAA game.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's not for everybody.
feel
That's a big
feel free
investment
to
for basically a bunch of fetch quests if you want to really reduce it down.
yeah.
So, Adam,
Mm-hmm.
explain the multiplayer element of this game, because
Uh,
that is what I really was intrigued by with this game.
So once you get an area in the game onto the in-game internet Chiral Network thing, which is the main purpose of all of your delivery missions and stuff, is to get everything connected onto that network. Once you get something connected to that network, you can start to utilize structures and tools that other players have built. So over time, as players progress, you know, you have to get up to this high cliff, but it's too steep to walk up. But oh no, look, we're on a flat surface. I can build a ladder right here and just climb straight up. When other players get to that point in the game, they will see your ladder. They will see your name attached to your ladder. They can give you their social media likes for your dopamine hit or whatever, and they can use your ladder. There are other structures, like bigger structures, things like watchtowers. You can build roads and vehicles and all kinds of crazy stuff I haven't gotten super into yet. Or players can request a structure, like, hey, it would be super nice if we had a bridge here, and then you can choose to help out and build that bridge. Or somebody has started construction on like an auto road builder thing and it just needs a bunch of materials, and other players can contribute their materials to that structure for the gain of everybody.
It feels
That's-
like anti-Dark Souls. So whereas
Exactly.
Dark Souls, you go to the beginning area of a game, you turn human, you know, which unlocks some multiplayer capabilities, and you just get fucking slapped by people who have played the game before. In this, it's literally the opposite. You know, you fire it up, you get something on the Chiral Network, and holy fuck, there's a ladder right when you needed it the most. Oh my god, I don't have to trek through this dangerous mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I can just go over the top of it. Thank you, Doug, or whoever the fuck your name
Doug.
is. I appreciate
Thanks,
you
Doug.
on a fundamental level. I'm going to hit you with those Facebook likes.
Mm-hmm.
And
And a lot of
Dobby does call out that there are notes in Dark Souls, and yeah,
Mhm.
but the majority of the multiplayer game and the majority of your experience with the apparent multiplayer is getting wrecked by invaders. Now, I have had notes in Dark Souls kill me. Try jumping a lot. I haven't seen any griefing so far. That said, I am very early on in the game, but it seems like it might be difficult to grief with this type of thing.
Yeah, I can't see a whole lot of possibilities for griefing. So one thing I don't fully understand about some of the systems with that is, what benefit do you have personally if somebody else gives you likes and uses your structures? Which I think the main answer is you should just feel good about it. Like, you don't need to have some in-game incentive to help out other players. Like, you can even, like, if somebody loses a piece of their cargo, another player can pick that cargo up and choose to deliver it to a post box or its destination.
It's so weird. It's so weird to encounter other players' failed quests and then to be able to just pick up the slack. Like, nah, don't worry, guy. I got you.
I'll help you. Yeah.
Like,
and so I don't know enough
really
about the systems and stats and stuff to like see how much that would benefit you personally. But I like the fact that you have the option and can do so out of the goodness of your own heart, right?
So can I start a mission, realize it's gonna be hard with this much shit, shed it in the middle, and just hope someone gets that to the spot?
I don't know how it works for you. Dobby asking, can you sabotage them? I haven't seen any way to sabotage other players.
No, because if you lose cargo and go to drop it off, I'm pretty sure you just get like a lower score on the delivery, or you just can't turn it in.
Okay, so you don't get any benefit of them completing your quest. They get some form of something somewhere, probably.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you failed a quest, like, you don't feel like, oh, this time is completely wasted. Like, if you're involved in the world, and especially in the community multiplayer aspect, you realize, fuck, I failed that quest, but some dude has got 4 random pieces of gear out there to you know, beef up their stuff or get extra XP or get, you know, materials or whatever you get from completing those, you know, totally optional side missions. You know, you realize you have just created content for somebody else to go through.
That is the coolest shit about this game, is the multiplayer interaction.
There's
Yeah.
even a big shared locker system. Like you can choose to put supplies in a locker that any player can just take for themselves. Like there's a whole shared locker where people can add and take resources from as they want. I'm sure with limits. I haven't actually tried to do much of that stuff yet, but
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some kind of server world bundling that goes on behind the scenes.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
I will
But
say that there are moments in this game that are not chill walking hiking simulators.
Yes.
Like I'm not trying to get into any story details, but when you had to light the fire, to use a Dark Souls reference, trying to get out of that place, and there's like the weird creatures, and you gotta literally do Metal Gear Solid style stealth challenges to get through. It was really, really, I don't want to say unnerving. It was really stressful. It was really tense. It was like the best moments in any stealth action game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh fuck, I gotta get through here. Oh shit, he's right on me. All right, hold on. Stay here. Don't breathe. Crouch in the tall grass because this is a AAA game. All right, now we can move on.
So Scott wants to make a logistical company in a game like this. He's asking, like, or saying it would be really nice if there was a system where you could effectively accept a mission and then thread that mission out through your team.
That would be neat.
That would be like Death Stranding 2. The Stranding continues.
Even strandier than the first.
Harder.
The second ever Stranding style game. God, that is so cringy.
Another thing I like about the game and its presentation of the story and characters is how it like takes itself super seriously and then it doesn't.
Ooh.
Like there's an inherent absurdity to the whole thing, and I know a lot of it's self-aware and maybe some of it isn't, but I like that about it. Like there's a part in the early part of the game during a cutscene, and you're driving in this truck thing with these other characters, and the guy is just like, shit, a rainbow. And then the camera pans to the rainbow, and you hear like the shrieky violin sound. And it's like, what? The rainbow?
Why are rainbows bad?
Yeah. And it's just funny in itself, but like within the game world, the rainbow means something that can be a bad thing. You know, the rain is dangerous in that game. It's just like little things like that are funny. The fact that it's Monster Energy drink in the game that you drink is funny.
And
like
not only just
entertaining.
Cans, you have a flask that whenever you come into contact with water or the rain, it filters that stuff out and adds it to this like magical techno canteen thing. But it's not water. It mixes that perfectly good water with Monster Energy drink particles. So you have a full unlimited techno canteen of Monster Energy drink.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. As long as it was done without, I mean, even if it was done with sponsorship, it's a funny way.
It is because there are literal monster cans with all of the text on the back, the logo. Yeah. It's literally a green monster can.
It is like even the game.
It says Monster Energy.
Ratings, it says contains product placement.
Oh, well, at least they're not hiding it then.
Yeah, no, they very much show it to you front and center.
They double down on it.
Yeah,
it's funny, again not to get into any story spoilers, but a lot of the things are metaphors for Kojima's time in Konami, where, a character is saying, no, I don't want to do this thing. I left this world behind. I intentionally made sure that I would never come back to this. No, we're pulling you back in, Sam. Mm-hmm. You gotta do this stuff. And you can just see Kojima, slaving away on Metal Gear Solid 4, even though he already said, dude, I'm retired. Metal Gear Solid is done. Shit, Konami needs another stock hit. We gotta put out a new one. There's a lot of that.
Another thing I like is the so you connect yourself. You've seen probably if you've seen any of the trailers, the little baby and the canister looking thing. Yeah, so those are called BBs, which stands for Bridge Baby. But everybody calls them BBs, and all the dialogue just sounds ridiculous because they're like, You have a genuine connection with the BB. You must protect the BB. And it just sounds like somebody saying baby in like a baby talk voice, and it's just funny.
Oh, I just needed a cute BB.
Yeah.
It is so delicious.
Be careful. Be careful when jostling around too much, and you might distress the BB.
Like
it's just every time it's just comical. It's funny.
if you like Kojima, if you like his brand of weirdness, if you really love the Metal Gear Solid franchise, story-wise and writing, and you love everything kind of self-reverent about that, you're probably gonna love the story of Death Stranding. I don't want to sound like I've been complaining about it, because I really do appreciate it for what it is, but you gotta understand, you are signing up for a Kojima game. That is what you're getting without any kind of shackles.
Okay, so before this came out, I was like, listen, are we all going to be shocked that he is just fucking batshit insane in this game? Is it to that point, or is it still comfortable level of insanity?
He is on brand, which means it's nuts. It's really fucking weird, but it's not.
It's weird, but it makes sense within its.
It isn't what I was worried about.
Yeah,
it's weird, but it's not like incomprehensible fucking mess.
Kojima did not shit the bed with Death Stranding at all.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that was my.
Is it going to be as like widely revered as Metal Gear Solid 3? Hell fucking no, it's not. But it's not trying to be. It's its own weird thing.
Yeah. And it's going to get, I mean, some people will pan it because they're going to come in wanting something in that vein, which that's their own fucking fault. This game is its own thing.
Yeah. It's its own different thing. Like I said, a lot of players probably won't like it because you're going to spend a lot of time traversing the land. There's a moment of satisfaction though when you've gone on this long mission and you get, and the objective is kind of on top of a mountain, and you get on top of the mountain and you can look back the path you took there and just see how far you've traveled. And it's just kind of cool in that aspect.
If you've ever been hiking and you ended up on like the summit of a mountain or like a big hill or something, and you look down and you're just like, shit, there's my car.
Yeah.
It's that exact same feeling, but at every turn in the game.
Yeah, but you have to remember, you have to walk, or, there's vehicles and stuff that you can get later on, I'm sure, but like, you have to traverse that land. So it's going to be a lot of walking and stuff. You're going to have to do a lot of management too. It's not just like, all right, hold down the analog stick, let's go for an hour. And not just from the balancing stuff too in the cargo, but like, there's the time fall rain, which accelerates aging and stuff. So if your packages get rained on too much, they're going to degrade, and you have to like manage that. You have to build cargo. What is it? Cargo repair spray. It's basically a can of Lysol you have to spray on your stuff to repair it to a condition.
A cave and wait out the rain. And if you've got like a timed mission, you're sitting there like, dude, come on, I've got a schedule to keep. Why won't this rain fucking let up? And it makes the world feel like a real place.
Your boots will wear out. You have to make new shoes. If your shoes are all the way broken, you're gonna slip easier. So there's a lot of stuff that some players might perceive as nagging that they have to deal with constantly. And I kind of sympathize with that a little bit. But it gives you something to... Like, you can't just have a game where you hold the analog stick and walk that far. There has to be something in there to keep you engaged. And I think that between trying to traverse the actual terrain itself and managing your equipment and the systems in the game, I think keeps it engaging enough to not feel like a complete bore fest.
On the last thing I'm going to say on the gameplay, and I'm absolutely going to steal this from Super Bunny Hop, who did a fantastic analysis on Death Stranding when it released, is that navigating the terrain plays like Guitar Hero. And hear me out. You are constantly looking at like the bottom periphery of where you need to go in the game. You're constantly scanning and looking. You're like, okay, well, there's a rock coming up here, and it looks like this part kind of bends this way, and with my current loadout, I can't go there. And you're constantly like making these short micro steps, just looking at the field moving towards you and making these micro optimizations and decisions, just like you're playing a track-based music game. It feels very similar to how you kind of visually perceive and react to stages in Guitar Hero. It's weird, and it works.
So one more question about, as part of the traversing, is there a hydration, energy, anything like that you have to maintain?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. You have stamina. You have to maintain the BB. You have to maintain your blood level, I guess. But yeah, the stamina is a big one. If you can you can walk through a stream of water as long as it's not, like neck deep or anything. You can walk through that stream of water, but depending on how fast the water is moving and how much cargo you have, it's going to drain your stamina meter. And if it goes down all the way, you get swept away in the water and you lose all your cargo. You have to collect it and put it back on your back and stuff.
Oh, I can see where that would be ungodly tedious.
And
So
that
how
happened to me the other day.
How did we bury the lead? You can pee in this game.
Yep.
Oh,
There.
There's a urinate
10 out of
mechanic. It's very strange.
that's interesting.
There's a lot of stuff that I don't know why it's there, but it's there.
But it's there.
Yeah.
One last thing I want to call out of the game. I think I've pretty much covered everything other than this. Obviously the graphics are beautiful. It does support NVIDIA's DLSS feature, which is what's it called? Deep Learning Super Sampling. Is that right?
That
Acronym?
sounds right. I honestly don't remember.
have no
Basically, it
clue.
uses an AI machine learning thing that's game specific to render the game, basically, or process the game at a lower resolution, and then use that AI to generate the gaps and upscale that resolution in a way that is not only visually almost identical, but some people actually think it makes the game look better.
Mhm.
So
Huh.
I don't have a 4K monitor, but I've heard that the higher your native monitor resolution is, the more noticeable and impactful that feature is. But I'm literally like, the game is processing at 720p and upscaling to 1080, and I can't see a difference at all. And it runs
It looks
way better.
gorgeous.
It runs way better. It
It
makes no
uses
sense.
So this
It
in-
completely circumvents the whole like visual fidelity versus frames per second like trade-off you always have to balance in every other type of game. Like with this
So
is absolutely
NVIDIA's-
revolutionary.
NVIDIA's tech's pretty fucking good, then it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. They actually use the CUDA cores on the graphics card, which go pretty unused doing most normal gameplay, to do that AI rendering. So you're not
Mhm.
even using like the stuff that matters on your graphics card when you enable this feature. And it's got two different modes. You can either enable it for beauty
Mhm.
and make things just fucking shiny, or you can enable it for performance reasons and it will like dynamically shift what it's doing to try to make the game easier for the other cores, the other like standard graphics cores to render, and then fill in the gaps with AI to maintain a crisp, whatever you set as your target frame rate. Really fucking cool.
And even the beauty
Really
preset
fucking
will
cool.
increase FPS. Like
Yeah.
you could get a 30 FPS difference, literally,
Yeah.
just from enabling
Easy.
the feature. One checkbox.
Hmm.
I went from
And
I had the
it's-
game on complete max settings and gameplay was pretty smooth. Cutscenes would get laggy and frame skippy and stuff. Turn on DLSS, perfectly smooth always.
Is this a 2080 only feature? Or
It's
20
all
series only?
This is RTX.
RTX. Any RTX card
So
should be
yeah,
able to use it.
that's
It's the same
that's
tech I
the
talked
20
about a little
series
bit
then.
in Control.
Mm.
But the
yeah.
machine learning models are trained game specifically, so some games it might work a little better for than others. It worked fantastic in Control, but some of the textures got a little wonky. Not a lot, like it's still worth it to use it, but in this one I haven't noticed anything weird. Really, really cool
That's
tech
kinda-
stuff.
That's really cool tech.
So I think it's revolutionary. Like I can't wait to see how that develops.
I
in the
would love to
future.
see this stuff in like a future version of the Nintendo Switch. Like imagine something that is
Right.
clearly underpowered,
Mhm.
but looks goddamn incredible.
Yeah, Nintendo needs that because their consoles are historically underpowered.
Yeah.
And the last thing of Death Stranding I have to mention because I'm that guy. The soundtrack, the score,
Oh, it's so good.
and not just there's licensed music in the game too that they play at certain segments and that you can play in the music player in game. Those are fantastic too. I'm discovering new music that's cool. But the
The
actual
first
score
mission-
itself is amazing. It is so good. It's this perfect blend of like your usual orchestral film score type thing mixed with a lot of synthesizers and electronic elements. It reminds me a lot of I know Tom has. Irk, did you ever see Tron Legacy, the movie? The new Tron game? Irk's typing.
Yeah.
Did Irk have
Oh,
to
no.
do something? Irk, are you alive?
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Did you
I
ever?
restarted my interface.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Did you ever see Tron Legacy?
No.
Okay.
Did you
Anyways,
actually ask me a question in the
yeah.
5 seconds that I was unable to
Yes,
do anything?
exactly. That's
God
exactly what
damn it.
happened.
This entire last 30 minutes, my name hasn't been brought up.
I know.
As soon as I restart the interface.
Yeah, and then the only reason I asked you specifically is because me and Tom already talked about this briefly. But the soundtrack, I don't know if you heard, but it's like a brilliant mixture of orchestral and electronic elements and synthesizers and stuff. Amazing soundtrack, and it reminds me a lot of the Tron Legacy soundtrack, which was made by Daft Punk and then another composer with them, right?
Yes.
Okay. But amazing soundtrack. I'm
The first mission, like, because Kojima loves doing this thing where he'll bring in music where you don't expect it mid gameplay, but like that first mission, and then the thing happens, and then it starts, and then the camera zooms out, like it perfectly preps you for this is going to be this kind of game. Enjoy it. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I really hope that keeps up throughout the entire game. Like, I would hate for like that segment to be like in the 2 set pieces where I've seen it so far and then never get brought up again. Like, I want Kojima to bring in the licensed soundtrack all the time, like for every impactful moment. That's what I want.
I think I've heard in game maybe four parts where they play licensed music so far. I'm 11 hours in, and I feel like I'm just beginning to scratch the surface of the game, if that tells you anything.
Okay.
Like,
so
lengthwise. The game is a lot. It's just a lot in every aspect.
I think we're about to the end of the talk on that.
Yes.
But I want to close this asking both of you guys a very pointed question.
Yeah.
Do you like the game?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I know there for a little bit.
Not
Adam was
universally.
wavy.
Not universally.
It's not.
There are things I really dislike about the game, mainly the menus and stuff. And I understand that the game as a whole is a slog. But I think there's still something to appreciate within that.